Hey, all you beautiful peoples, I'm Anamon Clendora, and welcome to A Terrible Theory. So, I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen Gameoverse at this point. Um, Absolutely fantastic pilot. I absolutely loved it. Like, legitimately, out of all of the shows that Glitch has given us, this is probably the one that I am most excited to see where it goes. Because this is such a fantastic premise. It has such a fantastic premise with all these different video game worlds. Like, once you finish the objective, then, like, that's it. That's the end. That's it. That's the end of the world, because once the credits roll, there's nothing else after that. The story has been told. The story has been told, and so, like, there's nothing left for the world but to just end. And so you have the heroes who are trying to help the villains beat the other good guys, the other heroes, in order to keep the world from ending. And then the villains that are trying to make all of these worlds end are training the hero. It's such an interesting premise, and I love the idea that all of these different video game worlds, all these different video games that we know, are just their own worlds in the mass universe. It is just so cool. But I, like a lot of people, have a lot of questions. Um, there's a lot of questions having to do with the members of the villain group, syntax. And I have some theories. I have a few theories about them, about some of the members. Um, and I'm just gonna go through each of them. Now, some of them have been confirmed by some of them, technically, as of this recording, have technically already been either confirmed or heavily hinted at by the creators, or completely, or one of the theories that I initially had has recently been debunked before I could record this, but I can still kind of salvage it, because I do still think that this theory sort of holds water. One of them is heavily implied. It's not confirmed, but I 100% believe this to eventually turn out to be the case. And then another theory has no proof whatsoever. I have absolutely zero proof for another theory whatsoever. It would just make so much sense thematically. It would make a lot of sense thematically for this to be the case. So, with that said, let's start with one that has already been basically confirmed by the creators. Misinformation. Misinformation was a tutorial guide in PC in her original game. And we absolutely see a lot of that. With the pilot. She tends to have some really good ideas, and she always seems to have pertinent, important information to share. And when Fold is trying to shoot down Kit's ship, she is constantly nagging him, telling him how to shoot. So it is heavily implied throughout basically the entire pilot that she was a tutorial NPC in whatever game she came from. So that has been basically confirmed. That has essentially been confirmed. And next, Malice and Mayhem. Now, my original theory for Malice and Mayhem was that uh, there is there is a girl that Kit has a picture of herself with. There's a picture. There's a picture on the ship that we see for just a split second of Kit with this other girl. And it's never mentioned. The character is never mentioned. But that kind of had my like my little theorist senses kind of tingling seeing that, because very clearly the writers wanted us to take notice of that image because it was given focus for just a brief second, but clearly that image is important. And my initial theory was that that girl who has been named as Lulu, my theory was that she used to be Kit's best friend, and then she got jealous of Kit's abilities. She got jealous of Kit's abilities and wanted to be able to do a lot of the things that Kit could do in order to help her. But when she finally found a robot helper of her own, it basically kind of corrupted her and turned her into Malice. And malice can be another word used to describe a severe hatred towards someone you are jealous of. And so it just made so much sense thematically for that to be the case. But this has been debunked. The writers and creators have essentially confirmed that that Lulu is part of the Farcade, the group that Kit belongs to. So yeah. But that doesn't mean my theory is 100% wrong. It could still be that someone from her world, there is someone from her world that she used to be friends with who grew jealous of her. And so, like, they could still reveal that, because we still don't know the full extent of her backstory. And I'm sure a future episode is going to mention it. I'm sure a future episode is going to show off her entire backstory. So they could still have that, just for a different character. But next up is Warwick. And there is zero evidence for this, for what I'm about to say. Absolutely zero evidence for this. It just makes so much sense thematically. We know that the person who had Kit, who is the leader of the Farcade, is this vampire-like guy. Which, let's see, what's his name? Dusk. So Dusk is the leader of Farcade. Dusk is the leader of Farcade, and he is like this vampire. He's like this vampire character who very much looks like kind of a mixture of Dracula and Sephiroth. He looks like a mixture of those two characters. So I believe that Warwick used to be a stand-in for a Belmont. I believe that the game they were initially in was a Castlevania-like game, and Warwick was the vampire hunter in that game. Warwick was the hero of that game, and after defeating after defeating um after defeating Dusk, Dusk managed to get away. Dusk got away, and Dusk got away, abandoned the dying world, and Warwick managed to find a way off his world as well, and watched as his home and everyone he loved perished. And that's why he wants to bring back all that he lost, as he mentions to Snappers. He mentions that to Snappers in the at the end of the pilot. So I just think that it just works so well thematically if the leader of the villains, the leader of the villain group, is a former hero. Meanwhile, the leader of the hero group is a former villain. Like, thematically, that just makes way too much sense. And it also makes way too much sense to have both leaders be originally from the same game. Like, it makes way too much sense for both of these things to be true. And it is just like, it would just be perfect storytelling. Like, that is perfect storytelling right there, by perfect parallel storytelling, by having the hero and the villain mirror each other like that. So I have no reason as to why I believe this. Like I said, there is zero evidence to support this. Like, absolutely none. But I do still believe it is the case. And lastly, there is Fold. And this is the one that I firmly believe is 100% true. And there is actual evidence to support this. This has not been confirmed by the creators, but I feel like there is enough evidence in this pilot alone to warrant me believing that this is going to be the case, that this is going to be a big reveal. I believe that Fold was originally from Kit and Caboodle's world. I believe that he was from the same world as them. In the opening scene, we see Caboodle pull out a piece of paper. We see Caboodle pull out a piece of paper, and we don't know what they do with that. We don't really know what they do with that paper, but all we know is that after reading it, they suddenly know how to beat. They suddenly know how to beat Malice and Mayhem. Fold's entire gimmick in the pilot is that he is a guide. He is essentially a guidebook for flappers. That is basically what is going on. Now, that said, they do use a lot of the little minions in order to gain information on all the different bosses that is then portrayed through Fold, which means that this, obviously, like, Flapper's world is not the world he originates from. So he doesn't just have all the information. They need to gather information, and then it's portrayed on him once they've gathered it. But if he was part of Kit's world originally, he would already have the information on how to beat the bosses, because he was meant to be the guidebook for that world. And if you want more proof, once they've used the paper, they throw it away, and where does it land? It lands right next to Malice and Mayhem. It lands right next to them, and we know that those two joined the Simtax. So it would make so much sense if Fold was from that world, and joined the Syntax at the same time as Malice and Mayhem. And then, on top of all of that, Fold seems to have intimate knowledge about Kit and Caboodle. He seems to have very intimate knowledge about them and which one is the real problem. Caboodle 100% is the problem. Because Fold automatically understands that without Caboodle, Kit isn't nearly as powerful. That a lot of her powers come from Caboodle. And he even mentions that to her, that without Caboodle, she's not that powerful. And she asks, "How would you know?" Like, she is genuinely surprised that he knows about that. How? How does he know that unless he was from the same game as her? And she never knew. I think that Caboodle knows. Caboodle knows who Fold is. Because the two of them, like, based on what we see in the pilot, it seems like the two of them have a bit of a rivalry. So I think that Caboodle knows that Fold is from their world and essentially betrayed them. He used to be their guide. He used to be the one helping them through their journey. But once they were done with him, they literally threw him away. They threw him to the feet of their enemies. So why wouldn't he betray them? So I absolutely firmly believe that we are going to get a reveal that Fold was part of Kit's world. I 100% believe this one. Like, I have almost no doubt in my mind. I am like 99% positive that this is going to turn out to be the case. So, and let's see, that's basically everyone from Syntax. Well, everyone except for Crab Girl, but Crab Girl is perfect. There's nothing that needs to be theorized about Crab Girl. She's perfect. She's perfect as she is. But yeah, so that's basically it. So Warwick is the hero of the same game that Dusk is from. Fold is a traitor who is from the same world as Kit and Caboodle. Malice and Mayhem may have known Kit in the past and maybe betrayed her because they grew jealous of her abilities. And Misinformation was an NPC a tutorial NPC for whatever game she was from. Those are my 4 theories. Let me know in the comment box below what you think of those 4 theories. Do you think any of them hold water? Do you think all of them are garbage? Or do you have or do you have your own theory? Let me know in the comment box below. I would love to talk about this series. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.